Yes, that's everybody. Welcome to another week here on Saving Sweet William. Now, if you pay any attention to the news and particularly the Greek news, you'll know that this week, this island, Zakynthos, has been hit by some pretty devastating wildfires. Our little house here in the village of Kalpaki is only around 15 to 20-minute drive away from where the wildfires have been spreading, just a few kilometres that way, which have been ripping through Zakynthos. Luckily, it's all stopped now, but just a short distance in terms of the island, close enough that we could see the smoke on the horizon whenever we were travelling around, particularly when we were at higher ground. It was really easy to see all of the fires spreading throughout the mountains. There were aeroplanes and helicopters constantly flying overhead, picking up water. I think they've collected it from the sea and dumping it onto the fires in an effort to get it contained. Now, the conditions were really, really windy, and that obviously helps the fire spread. But luckily, it's all under control now. There've been some tragic losses, obviously, in situations like this. It's inevitable. But luckily, it's all under control now. So in this video, we're just going to have a little look at some of the stuff that's happened on the island. And we're going to take a look around the villa and try to make sure that everything is as fireproof as it can. And maybe look at other methods we can use to prevent anything happening or spreading in the future. Now, the fires began earlier this week in a forested area in the mountains of Kalpaki, and they quickly spread towards Agala and Kerry, fueled by some really, really strong winds. And there's been a bit of an intense heat wave over here. I'm just walking you through the olive groves now, so you can see, probably hear the crunch, just how dry the ground is. Local authorities believe that it was a combination of extreme drought, the intense heat wave, and some real gusty winds that contributed to this being such a bad wildfire. Now, because the fires were so bad, it obviously meant people had to evacuate their homes to get to safer ground. We had alerts going off all of the time on our phones, and the island brought in a pretty big firefighting effort for such a small island. There was over 60 firefighters, 17 fire engines, ground teams, like I said, helicopters, planes, working as hard as they could to contain these fires. So as I show you these clips, you can see just how fast the flames moved across all of the hillsides. Thankfully, conditions improved, the wind died down, the water that they were able to drop started to take effect, and it meant the fires are now under control. But they've been a real reminder of just how vulnerable these Greek island homes can be in the summer months. Just showing you a panoramic view of literally just behind us. There's a pile of olive wood just behind me. There's grass that is just like Tinder paper. It won't take much to go up. So we live in hope, but there are things that we can do to try to prevent anything getting out of control. If, fingers crossed, it doesn't happen, but if worst ever came to the worst. Now, living in Greece, especially on an island like Zakynthos, you quickly realise that summer brings more than just sun, sea and sand. It also brings months, as you can see behind me, of bone dry conditions and sudden bursts of quite strong winds, which together they can turn even the smallest spark into a major fire risk. So you need to take lots of precautions around your property. Now, these olive groves that are all around us, I mean, we absolutely love it. It's one of the reasons that we picked to buy this house in particular. But what they do all year round is drop leaves. Look at that. I mean, that stuff is bone dry. It's just like tinder. Only takes a tiny, tiny little spark and a little bit of a mismanaged forest, and everything goes up in flames. Like, to be fair, it's difficult to try to keep on top of this anyway, because these things drop all day, all year round. They grow so rapidly as well. It doesn't take, you pollard them, you cut them right back, and within a few weeks, honestly, the leaves are back. There's new branches, there's new little stems poking out everywhere, and the end result is lots of tinder. Now, if you've watched our show for any length of time, you'll know how much we love shutters. These are wooden shutters that we resized back home in the UK and brought them over to Greece. Now, because they're wood, they're obviously combustible. So it's a risk. It's one that you can't really do too much about. You can buy fire repellent, like a fire repellent solution that you can brush onto wood to try to stop the fire and to resist it a bit. But one of the best things you can do is keep your windows inside shut and keep your shutters shut if there's any kind of fire risk in the area, because the through draft will just draw air through, suck embers towards it, and just help accelerate everything. So keeping these things shut whenever there's a fire risk, or just in general, I mean, we keep them shut most of the day anyway, just to keep the heat out, is probably a wise move. Now, barbecues. Who doesn't love a bit of outdoor cooking? It's one of my favourite things about being here, actually. But one of the things that you really need to do is make sure that there's no dry tinder underneath your barbecue. Make sure there's no holes in your barbecue, and ideally make sure your barbecue is on a solid surface that is completely fireproof, like this one. I had, on occasion, barbecued over there where it's a little bit drier, but after what I've seen on the news recently, there's no way I'm taking any more chances. So this barbecue stays right here on this brand new patio. Hopefully not dropping too many ashes over it and turning a beautiful white mortar black. Fingers crossed. All right, you're very privileged now. I'm going to take you inside my old shed. Now, it looks lovely from the outside, but when we step inside, we're into a world of mess. So, first thing, we've got an oil-fired boiler there. Not ideal, very combustible. Obviously, we have lots of DIY stuff in here. We've got pots of paint down here. We've got solutions like white spirit, obviously pretty flammable. It's difficult to protect against this kind of thing because these materials, just by their very nature, are combustible. So one of the best things you can do is to keep the windows shut, keep the doors shut, keep it as airtight as possible. Try and make sure that embers can't travel through any gaps and take hold of anything that's inside. These tiles, when I was doing the shed renovation videos, I got told were actually asbestos. So we are planning on changing them in the future. But as you probably know, asbestos was designed to be fireproof. So hopefully, at least, if nothing else, they're fireproof. But that will be another reason to get the heck away from the place. If there ever was a fire around, you don't really want to be anywhere near burning asbestos. Lovely little cat behind me, look at this. Hi. Oh look, there's lots of them. They Calispera. So I was having a chat with one of our neighbours across the road yesterday, and he was telling me about some of the fires that he's seen on the island so far, and telling me how the wind can pick up embers and send them hundreds of meters, which cause new fires. So the one thing that you really do need to hope for when wildfires break out is that the wind dies down as quickly as possible, because it can cause real big problems. But in general, he's really positive about how wildfires are dealt with on the island. He's got nothing but praise for the fire department and obviously all of the local communities that chip in and try to deal with the problems. Obviously, there are some real devastating stories involved, but this is part and parcel of living here, something that you have to get used to, and something that you can, do your very best to try to prevent. And it's sad that we've had to experience that firsthand before we start thinking about it a little bit more. But sometimes tragedies need to happen before you start changing your ways a bit, I guess. Right, let's look at a few other things we can do to prevent it around the house. So one of the things you can do is think about your house in different zones. So you've got the first zone here, which is 0 to 5 feet. You need to try to make sure that there are no combustible materials at all. No wood, no charcoal storage, no kindling storage. I mean, that tree is touch and go, but it's just about far enough away. Try to make sure that the only things that are within this kind of distance to your house are things that are not flammable. So concrete, metal, stones. That's one of the best things you can do to try to stop the fire getting to your house if it arrives close by. So one of the things I did a couple of months ago, not with fire prevention in mind, but just by chance, just trying to keep the place tidy actually, was move my supply of olive wood away from the house. We're now about 25 feet away from the house, which is a pretty good distance to keep the house safe. Now this is our fuel tank here. It has got some old oil in it, which I should probably get drained out because it's just sitting there doing nothing. There's no reason for it to be in there, to be honest. It's probably no good anyway, and we certainly don't need the house. We don't need to heat the house most of the year round. It's only about 4 foot away from the house, so that is not in an ideal location. So I'm going to be looking to do something about that in the very near future. So if we just take a little stroll around the place, one of the things you can do is keep your gutters nice and clear. Obviously, any old dried debris in there is going to help ignite the fire. We already spoke about not keeping any combustible materials close to the house. Another good idea, it's not really that attractive, but metal fencing. In the UK where we live, most of the year we have wooden fencing almost everywhere, which you just won't be able to do over here. So this metal fencing is pretty ideal when it comes to preventing fires. We also have the blockwork that is set on, creating a tiny bit of a barrier between the olive grove and our house. Now, we haven't got around to doing our driveway yet. It's at the moment lots of old stones mixed with some dried grass. I'm not too worried about that, but it isn't ideal. So the plan is to get the driveway done fairly soon, and when we do, it will just be either concrete or gravel or stones or something that isn't combustible whatsoever. Now, obviously, an essential fire prevention would be a working hose. We are lucky enough to have one. It stretches all the way around the back garden. It doesn't go all the way to the front of the house, sadly, but it does work, and it is connected to our water tanks, which I'm going to show you right now, which are over here. So it would be a really great idea to keep your water tanks topped up, although that isn't always down to you. Sometimes the water goes off for a few days. I mean, when we arrived last time, we found that the water had been off for 4 days, and I'll show you inside the tank. We're doing okay. It clearly hasn't been on today. We're about 2 foot down into the tank there, so not ideal. You can get water delivered, but it isn't cheap. It's about €80 minimum to fill a couple of tanks. And to give you a comparison, it costs us around €10 a month, if that, to have all of our water supplied from the water board. So getting water delivered certainly isn't a cost-saving exercise, but you need water. You need water in this heat, and yeah, if there's any kind of fire risk around, you certainly need to make sure your hose pipe is working. So fortunately, there are things you can do to help protect your house, but unfortunately, most of the time, it's down to Mother Nature. You're just walking around with your fingers crossed, hoping it doesn't happen near you or anywhere on the island, to be honest. But if the worst does come to the worst, you can see from all of the videos and clips and reports online that there will be a real huge effort to get the thing under control as quickly as possible. Firefighters will appear from everywhere. You won't even realize there are so many people that are firefighters on the island until you see in real life. And the communities, I mean, these are Greek communities. They are absolutely solid. They will gather around, help people who are in need, you know, that help is provide shelter, provide water, provide food, provide support. You really don't need to worry. You really couldn't be in a better place if the worst came to the worst. Guys, we're going to wrap this up now. If you have ever been affected by wildfires and would like to throw your knowledge into the mix, it would be great to hear from you. If you're on the island and you've been affected by this, I really hope that any issues that you've had can get dealt with really soon. We send our love out to everybody on the island who have been affected by this, and we really do hope and pray that these things stay rare and controllable. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching and hope to see you again very soon. Bye for now.